Namaste, everyone. Thank you for joining in this resumption of the Vedic Astrology Foundation classes. I could not do live classes for the last 4 weeks because of some personal reasons of getting involved in some sadhana. And here I am today with the resumption of the classes. I wanted this class to be live, but then it'll take me one more week to settle down with the things that I am facing right now. So consider this class as a resumption of whatever we stopped a month ago as such. And from the next week, we will have the classes live. Okay. So we were looking at the Raja Yogas in the last class. And in today's class, we will be looking at the Dhana Yogas. And before we get to the meat of the class, let's start the class with the daily Shanti Mantra from the Upanishads. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunakatu Sahaviryankara Vavahai Tejasvinadaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so Dhana Yogas provide an idea about the wealth in the chart and how much money will you make. And there are several ways to look at the Dhana Yogas, okay? And these are, as I said, these are astrological combinations for wealth and prosperity, okay? And for these combinations to prove fruitful, the Lagna Lord and the Lagna should be strong, okay? And your Dhana Yogas, or even if it is a Raja Yoga, it will manifest only when the Lagna is strong, okay? Now, the second house, as we know, is concerned with the earning of wealth, and the 11th, with the accumulation of wealth, and the 11th house is concerned with the earning of wealth. But apart from these, there are the 5th house, the 9th house, and the 11th house, which are the trinal houses. These are known as Lakshmi Sthana. Okay, while the Kendra houses 1, 4, 7, and 10, they are known as the Vishnu Sthan. Okay, so Lakshmi resides in these trinal houses. Okay, and any relationship amongst these various lords, they ensure wealth and prosperity. Okay, and the Dhana Yogas in their simplest form may occur when there is a mutual relationship with the Lagna Lord and the 2nd or the 5th or the 9th or the 11th Lord. Okay, if the Lagna Lord is related to the 2nd, 5th, 9th, or the 11th Lord, then, it's a Dhana Yoga. Okay. Similarly, if the 2nd Lord, the 5th Lord, or the 9th Lord, or the 11th Lord are related to each other, then also it is a Dhana Yoga. Okay. The 5th Lord and the 9th Lord, the 5th Lord connected with the 9th Lord or the 11th Lord, that is also a Dhana Yoga. Okay, the 9th Lord and the 11th Lord connecting with each other, that is a huge Dhana Yoga. Okay, so these are the different combinations that you can check. Okay, and as I said, all these combinations, they must be examined in the light of strength of the constituent planets, their lordship, their placement, and the influence of benefic and malefic planets on them. Okay, now Parashara says there are other Dhana Yogas too. Okay, so he mentions largely or prominently about the signification of the 511 axis. So Parashara gives these combinations. He says that if Venus occupies the 5th house in its own Rashi, the own Rashis of Venus are Taurus and Libra, Vrishabha and Tula. And if Mars is placed in a Lagna, then it is a Dhana Yoga. Okay. Parashara also says that if Mercury is occupying the 5th house in its own Rashi, that is in Gemini and Virgo, with Moon, Mars, and Jupiter placed together in the 11th house, that is a Dhana Yoga. Okay. Parashara also mentions that the Sun placed in the 5th house in its own Rashi of Simha or Leo, and if Moon, Jupiter, and Saturn are there in the 11th house, then it's a Dhana Yoga. If Saturn is placed in its own house in the 5th house, in its own Rashi, that is in Makara or Kumbha, and if the Sun and Moon are in the 11th house, then also it's a Dhana Yoga. If Jupiter occupies the 5th house, identical with its own Rashi, that means if Jupiter is placed in the 5th house, either in Sagittarius or in Pisces, and if Mercury is in the 11th house, then it's a Dhana Yoga. Again, if Mars is in the 5th house, in its own Rashi of Mesha and Vrishchika, that means of in Aries or Scorpio, and Venus is in the 11th house, this is also a Dhana Yoga. If the moon is in its own house in Cancer in the 5th house and Saturn is in the 11th house, then also it's a Dhana Yoga. Okay, so a lot of combinations are there. Just don't think that because your 5th and 9th lords are not related, you don't have a Dhana Yoga. Okay, what else does Parashara mention in other chapters of Dhana Yoga? Let's have a look. So Parashara also mentions widely about the significance of the Lagna and its Lord. Okay, so not only the Lagna, the Lord also has to be strong, or not only the Lord, the Lagna also has to be strong. Okay, so if the Sun is in Simha Lagna and is aspected or associated with Mars and Jupiter, then richness is ensured. Okay, if Moon is in Karak Lagna under the influence of Mercury and Jupiter, then the person will be rich. If Mars is in Mesha or Vrishchika in the Lagna under the influence of Mercury, Venus, and Saturn, then the person will be rich. If Mercury is in its own Rashi of Gemini or Virgo in the Lagna under the influence of Jupiter or Saturn, then the person will be rich. If Jupiter is in its own Rashi of Dhanur and Meena in the Lagna under the influence of Mars and Mercury, then the person will be rich. If Venus is in its own Rashi of Taurus or Libra in the Lagna under the influence of Mercury and Saturn, then the person will be rich. If Saturn is in its own Rashi of Makara or Kumbha in the Lagna under the influence of Mars and Jupiter, then the person will be rich. Okay, and as I mentioned in the beginning, the 5th and the 9th houses, they are wealth giving houses, and planets associated with these houses or their lords, they ensure acquisition of wealth. Okay, so I'll take a few example charts. Just give me a second. Let me share the screen. Okay, I think it's visible. So in this, wait a minute. So in this chart that you see, right, this chart that you see, I think it's visible. Yeah. So it shows a conjunction of the Lagna Lord, the 2nd Lord, and the 10th Lord in the 4th house. Okay. And this chart also shows a special Dhana Yoga mentioned by Parashara, which is obtained when a single planet owning the 2nd and the 7th houses simultaneously occupies the 4th house. Okay. So this can happen only in case of Mesha and Tula Lagnas, right? For Mesha Lagna, Venus is the lord of the 2nd and the 7th house, and that causes a Dhana Yoga when it is located in the 4th house. For Tula Lagna, Mars is the lord of the 2nd and the 7th house, and when it occupies the 4th house, it creates a Dhana Yoga. Okay, and an additional factor for riches is the association of Moon and Mars, so which goes under the name of which has the name of Chandra Mangal. So here you see Moon and Mars associating in the in the 10th house. Mars is exalted, and that also contributes a lot to the riches or richness of a person. Okay, then this chart, the next chart, yes, this chart. So this chart shows a very close conjunction of the 9th and the 10th lords, which is a potential, which is a very powerful Raj Yoga, which is in the 2nd house of prosperity, while you see the Lagna Lord and the 2nd Lord Saturn occupies the 11th house. So the Lagna Lord and the 11th Lord mutually aspect each other along the 5-11 axis. So this is another powerful Dhana Yoga as well as a Raj Yoga. Okay, and the combination of the 2nd house, which is also associated with the Sun, which is the 8th Lord, it indicates obstacles as well as disruptions. So the native here changed many jobs, and got several breaks in the career. Okay, but those breaks caused further rise in the status and eminence, and also proved to be financially more benefic. Okay, so this is the effect of the second house. All right, now I would just speak a bit on Indu Lagna. Okay, so Indu Lagna is a special Lagna which is seen from the moon, and there is a way to calculate Indu Lagna. Okay, so if you look at Indu Lagna, how is it calculated? First of all, it's a method of working out the extent of prosperity, that a person will have in the chart, and you have to see the disposition of planets from the Indu Lagna. Okay, so there is a way of calculating the Indu Lagna. Of course, the software will calculate that for you. That is very easy, right? But if you do it manually, then you have to know that Sun is contributing. The 7 planets, you have to eliminate Rahu and Ketu from the Hindu Lagna. So the 7 planets, Sun to Saturn, they will contribute certain units which are known as kalas. Okay, so Sun is contributing 30 kalas, Moon 16, Mars 6, Mercury 8, Jupiter 10, Venus 12, and Saturn 1. So these are the units that are contributed by their Saptagrahas. Now you have to look at the 9th lord from the Lagna and the 9th lord from the Moon. Add the units contributed by the 2 lords, divide by 12 to get the remainder. Okay, and this remainder, count this remainder from the position of the moon. So the house you arrive at will become the Hindu Lagna. Okay, let's say I have to calculate the Hindu Lagna for a Capricorn rising chart where the moon is placed in the 7th house. Okay, so the 9th lord from Lagna is Mercury, and Mercury contributes 8 kalas. The 9th lord from the moon is going to be Jupiter. Okay, because moon here is placed in Cancer, so the 9th lord is going to be Jupiter. So Jupiter is contributing 10 units or 10 kalas. Add up 8 and 10, you get 18. If you divide 18 by 12, you get 6. So the 6th house from Cancer, that means the 6th house from moon, where moon is placed, that will become the Hindu Lagna. So in this case, Sagittarius will become the Hindu Lagna. Okay, so if there is an unblemished benefic or an exalted malefic in the Hindu Lagna, it can make you a multimillionaire according to Parashara. Okay, and the influence of other planets on the Hindu Lagna will also contribute to wealth during the Dasha. Okay, so I'll just share this, share this chart. Just hold on. So look at this chart. Okay, look at this chart. I hope the screen is visible. So in this chart, the Lagna Lord joins the 2nd Lord Mars and the 9th Lord Mercury, as well as Jupiter. Okay, Jupiter, which is the significator of wealth, is also placed in the 2nd house. So this is the chart of a very wealthy lady. Okay, and Venus as the 8th Lord in this combination has ensured inheritance, while Jupiter as the 6th Lord has led to legal disputes. Now the 9th Lord from Lagna is Mercury, and from the Moon, the 9th Lord is Sun. So Sun, we know, contributes 30, Mercury contributes 8, so the total is 38. If you divide it by 12, you get a remainder of 2. Okay, so from moon, the 2nd house is Makar or Capricorn, so this becomes the Hindu Lagna. Okay, and from the Hindu Lagna, the 11th house has 4 planets and several powerful Dhana yogas. Okay, so this chart has a problem. You look at all the planets that are concentrated in only 2 houses. Okay, so only in the only in the 2nd and 3rd house of the horoscope. So there are numerous Samkhya yogas. Okay, and there are numerous Nabhasa yogas as well, right? So it is seen that the presence of the Yuga Yoga has not caused any poverty. Okay, Yuga Yoga is a yoga of poverty. If you go back to the class on Nabhasa yogas, you'll see that it's a combination of poverty. But then Hindu Lagna has eliminated that completely. Okay, so this is about the Dhana yogas, the topic that I wanted to share in this class. In the next class, we will be looking at Arishta yogas. Okay, we will be looking at Arishta yogas and the Daridra yogas, which are the yogas of poverty. And then we will be going into the Parivartan yogas. Okay, so that's it from me in this class. Hopefully, we will have the next class live. From the next class, we will be live every Sunday at 9 o'clock, as we have been doing. So till then, please take care. Watch the recordings. Please move back to the previous recordings if you feel you have forgotten whatever was taught. And kindly subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already. Like the content if you find it useful, and do let me know if you have any query or if you need a consultation regarding your chart. You can always reach out at the number given in the description box. Okay, so that's it from me in this video. I'll see you soon in yet another video. Namaste. Om Gurave Namaha.